For more than 6 decades, Barbra Streisand has reigned as one of the greatest entertainers the world has ever known. She's won every major award there is, Oscars, Grammys, Emmys, Tonys, and built an empire worth over $400 million through her music, films, and business ventures. But behind all the glamour, fame, and success, Streisand has always been intensely private, especially when it comes to her family and her fortune. Now, at 82, as she reflects on a life lived in the spotlight, reports of her final will have left fans and insiders completely stunned. Because the way Barbra has chosen to divide her incredible wealth isn't what anyone expected. Some say it's her ultimate act of love. Others, an emotional reckoning decades in the making, from her son Jason Gould to her husband James Brolin, to the close friends and causes she supported throughout her career. Every choice in Streisand's will seems to tell a story not just of money, but of forgiveness, loss, and the quiet lessons she learned from a lifetime under the harshest spotlight imaginable. Those closest to her say that Barbra's final wishes reveal a side of her the public never truly knew, a woman still haunted by her early struggles, yet determined to leave behind something meaningful. And when the truth about who inherits her fortune finally came out, even her biggest fans couldn't believe it. What Barbra Streisand decided to do with her $400 million fortune. Why, for over 60 years, Barbra Streisand has stood as one of the most extraordinary figures in entertainment history, a singer, actress, and director whose influence has stretched far beyond the stage and screen. Born in Brooklyn in 1942, she grew up in modest circumstances. Her father passed away when she was just a year old, and her mother struggled to provide for the family. Those early hardships left a deep mark on Barbra, shaping both her drive for success and her cautious attitude toward money. When Streisand entered show business in the early 1960s, few believed that a shy, unconventional-looking girl from Brooklyn could become a star. But Barbra had something special, an unshakable confidence in her own talent. Her voice, powerful and emotional, captivated audiences immediately. In just a few short years, she became a household name, releasing hit albums and starring in Broadway productions like Funny Girl, which launched her into stardom. By the time Hollywood came calling, Streisand was unstoppable. She transitioned from music to film with stunning success, winning an Academy Award for her first movie role in Funny Girl in 1968. The combination of vulnerability and power she brought to her performances made her one of the most respected actresses of her time. And as her fame grew, so did her financial empire. Streisand was never just an artist. She was a perfectionist and a savvy businesswoman. She took control of her music, her image, and her productions, ensuring she always had creative and financial ownership. By the 1980s, she had founded her own production company, directed critically acclaimed films like Yentl and The Prince of Tides, and maintained one of the most successful recording careers in history. Few entertainers, if any, could match her versatility or her financial success. But Barbra's rise came with personal costs. Her relationships were often complicated by fame. Her first marriage to actor Elliott Gould ended in divorce in 1971, though the two remained connected through their only son, Jason, for years. Jason was Barbra's world, and her determination to protect him from Hollywood's pressures was fierce. Still, as Streisand's career consumed her, their relationship went through difficult phases, especially as Jason pursued acting and music himself. By the late 1990s, Barbra found new happiness with actor James Brolin. Their marriage became one of Hollywood's most enduring love stories, marked by mutual respect and quiet devotion. Friends often describe them as soulmates, two people who found peace in each other after a lifetime of fame and chaos. All the while, Barbra kept building her fortune, not just through her art, but also through smart investments in real estate and philanthropy. Her Malibu estate alone, overlooking the Pacific Ocean, is said to be worth tens of millions. She also became one of the most generous celebrity philanthropists in America, donating millions to causes related to civil rights, women's health, and the environment. Yet, despite her massive success, Streisand remained deeply private about her personal affairs. When asked about her wealth, she once said, "Money was never the goal. It's what freedom looks like when you've worked your whole life for it. But in recent years, as Barbra stepped back from the public eye, she began making quiet decisions about her legacy. Friends say she wanted to ensure her fortune didn't just disappear into the hands of lawyers or distant relatives. She wanted it to mean something, and when the details of her will finally began to surface, those who knew her best were stunned. Because the woman who had everything wasn't just leaving behind money. She was leaving behind a message. I'll truly shock you. Barbra Streisand's journey from Brooklyn's working-class neighborhoods to global stardom was nothing short of extraordinary. She built an empire not only through her voice, but through a relentless willpower that refused to bend to Hollywood's rules. Yet, as time passed and the years grew heavy, Streisand began to think about something she'd never considered before: legacy. And not just her artistic legacy, but what would happen after she was gone. For decades, Barbra was known to be a perfectionist, controlling every detail of her music, movies, and even interviews. So it should come as no surprise that her will, the document that would define her final wishes, was crafted with that same precision. Insiders say it's not just a legal paper. It's a reflection of her heart, her values, and her complicated relationships. Barbra has one son, Jason Gould, from her marriage to actor Elliot Gould. Jason, who followed in his mother's artistic footsteps as an actor and singer, shares a quiet and deeply personal bond with her. Despite living in the shadow of a woman whose voice shaped generations, Jason found his own identity, and Barbra has long said he is her greatest achievement. It's widely believed that Jason will inherit a significant portion of her estate, but even that comes with a twist. Reports claim Streisand has included a trust clause that releases funds in stages rather than all at once. This ensures her fortune won't be squandered or mismanaged, no matter who receives it. It's a testament to her foresight, the same sharp intuition that guided her to superstardom. Beyond Jason, Barbra's estate has a deeper purpose. Friends close to her say she's allocating millions to causes she's fought for all her life: women's rights, LGBTQ+ equality, climate change, and education reform. Her Malibu compound, an architectural masterpiece filled with rare art, memorabilia, and decades of history, may eventually become part of a charitable foundation in her name. Barbra has hinted that she doesn't just want to be remembered for her music, but for the world she tried to make better. Then there's the emotional part, her pets. Barbra's love for her dogs, especially her beloved Coton de Tuileries named Samantha, is legendary. She famously cloned Samantha twice after her death, creating two genetically identical dogs she calls her girls. Sources close to her revealed that even her pets are written into her will. Funds have reportedly been set aside to ensure their lifelong care, a gesture that speaks volumes about her loyalty and affection, but it's not all sentimental. Rumors have circulated that certain family members and Hollywood acquaintances may be left out entirely. Over the years, Barbra had her share of fallouts, both professional and personal. Her determination to protect her privacy and her fortune means her will might hold some shocking omissions. Names once considered close that may now find themselves erased from her final plans. Barbra has also made arrangements for her vast music, catalog, and film royalties, which continue to generate millions annually. While some believe she intends to keep control of these assets within her family, others speculate she may donate a large portion to fund scholarships for young musicians. A full circle moment for a woman who began with nothing but a dream and a voice. Even her home, the sprawling Malibu estate with ocean, views that she's meticulously curated over 4 decades, has sparked speculation. Will it remain in the family, or will it become a museum dedicated to her life and legacy? Those closest to her say she's considered both options. Whatever she chooses, one thing is certain: it will bear her unmistakable mark, a blend of elegance, creativity, and control. Barbra Streisand has never done anything halfway. Every note, every scene, every word she's ever spoken has carried purpose. Her will is no different. Carefully composed masterpiece that ensures her life's work continues long after she's gone. But what truly brings fans to tears isn't the fortune itself, it's the meaning behind it. Every dollar, every donation, every decision reflects the same woman the world has adored for 6 decades. Passionate, driven, fiercely protective, and forever unforgettable. When news of Barbra Streisand's last will quietly surfaced among those closest to her, it sent a ripple through both Hollywood and her inner circle. For decades, Barbra had been a symbol of control, a woman who orchestrated every element of her public and private life. But the details of her will, as those who've seen it suggest, revealed a side of her few ever truly understood. Deeply emotional, fiercely loyal, and quietly reflective of every triumph and heartbreak she'd ever endured. Her son, Jason Gould, was the first to be made aware of the final draft. Those close to him described the moment as bittersweet. While Jason knew his mother had always planned carefully for the future, the scope of her generosity took him by surprise. It wasn't the wealth that moved him. It was the personal letters Barbra had attached to her bequests. Each letter reportedly included words of love, encouragement, and wisdom that she wanted to leave behind, not as an icon, but as a mother. In one such note, she's said to have written, "You were always my greatest song, Jason. Everything I built was so you'd never have to sing in a world that didn't listen." Friends close to Jason say he wept reading those words, overwhelmed by the realization that beneath her perfectionist exterior, Barbra had always been watching over him, guiding him, even when she didn't say it aloud. Meanwhile, Hollywood insiders couldn't help but react with awe. Streisand had long been known as a private powerhouse, but her will demonstrated something even greater, a plan that ensured her impact would stretch far beyond fame. Major Wall. Figures in the entertainment industry, including some who had once clashed with her, reportedly expressed admiration for the way she tied her legacy to causes bigger than herself. "Barbra always played the long game," one producer noted. "Even in death, she'll be running the show." Among her longtime friends and collaborators, emotions were mixed. People like James Brolin, her husband of over 25 years, had been her partner through the later, calmer years of her life. Those who know the couple describe their marriage as built on deep respect and shared solitude. It's believed Barbra made generous provisions for James, ensuring he could continue living in their Malibu home comfortably. But even he, friends say, was deeply moved by how much of her estate was directed toward charity. "That's who she really was," one source shared. "She loved giving quietly. She just didn't need the cameras there to prove it." Fans across the world reacted with shock and admiration as snippets of her final wishes began to leak into the media. Donations to the Barbra Streisand Women's Heart Center and various equality foundations surged overnight. Online tributes flooded social platforms with fans sharing how her music or films had shaped their lives. "It's like she gave us one last encore," one fan wrote. Not with her voice, but with her heart. But what truly made headlines was how meticulously Barbra had thought of everything, even her art collection. Priceless portraits, antiques, and memorabilia from decades of Hollywood history were not to be sold to private collectors, but donated to museums and archives where future generations could study her artistry. It wasn't about vanity, it was about preservation. She wanted young dreamers, especially women, to walk through her legacy and see what could be achieved with courage, talent, and persistence. Still, not everyone received what they expected. According to a few who once worked closely with her, there were notable absences in her will, people who'd once been dear to her but had drifted away over the years. To them, it was a painful reminder of how Barbra valued loyalty and integrity above all. Those who betrayed her trust, even slightly, never found their way back into her good graces. For those who remained loyal, however, her gratitude was boundless. A handful of close friends and staff members, some of whom had been with her for over 30 years, reportedly received lifetime stipends. "They were her family too," one insider said softly. "Barbra never forgot those who stood by her when the spotlight wasn't shining." In the end, the revelation of her will became something far greater than a story about money. It became a portrait of a woman who never stopped caring about her son, her art, her principles, and the people she loved most. The same emotional power that once made millions cry during her performances now echoed through every word, every clause, every gesture she left behind. For fans who had adored her for decades, it wasn't the wealth or the fame that defined her. Legacy. It was the message her will carried. Live fully, give meaningfully, and never let the world forget your song. In the twilight of her life, Barbra Streisand found a peace that had once eluded her. For decades, she had lived beneath the harsh glare of the spotlight, where every performance, every interview, and every rumor became public property. But as the years passed, Barbra slowly retreated into the quiet of her Malibu estate, surrounded by gardens, family, and memories that told the story of a woman who had already given the world everything she had. Those who visited her in her later years often said the same thing. Barbra wasn't afraid of time. She embraced it. Her voice, though softer, still carried the same warmth that had captivated audiences for generations. She spent mornings reading, afternoons tending to her roses, and evenings reminiscing with James Brolin, her husband and steadfast companion. Their bond, which had withstood fame and distance, grew stronger with age. "We found joy in simplicity," James once said. "We didn't need the world anymore. We just needed each other." Yet even in her quietest moments, Barbra remained connected to her art. She would occasionally hum melodies from her past albums, sometimes surprising close friends with impromptu performances at small gatherings. But she no longer sought applause. Instead, she sang for herself, for the girl from Brooklyn who once dreamed of stardom and ended up redefining it. Those close to her say she spoke often about legacy, not the kind written in record books or measured in awards, but the one that lives in the hearts of those she touched. "I want to be remembered for how I made people feel," she told a confidant. "Not just through my music, but through kindness, courage, and conviction." Her health, however, began to quietly decline. Though she remained remarkably private about her condition, whispers of fatigue and frailty began to surface. She continued to make rare public appearances, often greeted by thunderous standing ovations that left her visibly emotional. "Every cheer felt like a goodbye," one attendee recalled. "It was as if she knew time was running out, and she was saying farewell the only way she knew how, with grace." As her body grew weaker, Barbra's spirit remained unbroken. She found comfort in faith, in family, and in the stillness she had long craved. Friends described her final years as serene, filled with laughter, reflection, and gratitude. She revisited her old films, not out of vanity, but nostalgia, smiling as she watched the woman she used to be, unaware of how deeply she would shape generations to come. When the inevitable day arrived, her passing was met with global heartbreak. Tributes poured in from artists, presidents, and fans across continents. Candlelight vigils were held outside her home and the Broadway theaters that once echoed with her name. People didn't mourn just a singer. They mourned an era, a voice that had soundtracked love stories, heartbreaks, and dreams for more than 6 decades. But amidst the sorrow, there was something beautiful. The realization that Barbra Streisand had lived exactly the life she wanted. She had turned hardship into art, doubt into determination, and fame into purpose. Her story wasn't just about stardom, it was about survival. It was about a woman who faced an industry that doubted her looks, her voice, and her strength, and proved them all wrong. In her final will, she had written one last message, simple yet profound. Remember that life isn't measured by applause, but by the love you give and receive. That single line, now immortalized by her fans, perfectly captured the essence of her journey, a reminder that even the brightest stars burn out, but their light never truly fades. Jason Gould, her beloved son, continues to honor her memory quietly, often sharing stories of her wisdom and humor. James Brolin, now in his later years, has spoken movingly about their love story, calling her his greatest miracle. Foundations and charities established in her name continue to thrive, supporting women's health, arts education, and equality, the very causes she held closest to her heart. And perhaps that's the most fitting ending of all. Barbra Streisand may have left this world, but her melody lives on, not just in her timeless songs, but in every dreamer she inspired to rise above the odds. She taught us that true greatness isn't found in fame or fortune, but in the courage to stay authentic in a world that demands perfection. As one fan wrote during her memorial, she didn't just sing, she healed, she inspired, she changed the world. And now, as the curtain finally falls on Barbra Streisand's extraordinary life, one truth remains: legends never die. Their songs, their love, and their light continue, forever echoing in the hearts of those who believed in them.